There's a pit in my stomach heading into UFC 317. Not because this card is bad or because the stakes are low, far from it actually. In fact, the main event might be one of the most emotionally conflicting fights I've ever had to watch. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira, Charles du Bronx for the vacant UFC lightweight title is official. And I can't lie right now, I hate that this is happening. Not because this matchup doesn't make any sense, because it does. Or not because it won't be fireworks, because it absolutely will be. But because I'm here stuck watching my favorite fighter today go to war against one of my favorite fighters of all time. And no matter what happens, someone I love watching is gonna lose. But as much as I dread it, I've come to accept it for what it is. A necessary evil, a painful step in the evolution of the UFC's new era. And, this fight is more than just about the title. It's about legacy, superstardom, and the reshuffling of the entire lightweight as well as welterweight landscapes as a whole. And, it all stems from a chain of events that started at UFC 315 when Jack Dalla Maddalena became the undisputed welterweight champion of the world and forced Islam Makhachev to finally move up, vacating his belt in the process. And so that domino effect has led us to this very moment. And as much as it hurts, there's no turning back now. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help me reach 3,000 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you. And make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. Alright, so look, let me explain. Because, you see, heading into UFC 315, I kind of felt stuck in a way. Because the welterweight division was on hold, and Islam Makhachev was eyeing a move to 170 in hopes of acquiring that champ status. And so you see, I sort of felt myself torn between two completely different outcomes. Either my favorite welterweight today in Jack Dalla Maddalena beats Belal Muhammad and becomes undisputed welterweight champion of the world, or Belal Muhammad wins and we get the biggest super fight of this era in Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. That was the dilemma. Do I choose legacy or do I choose loyalty? And so I went with my gut, and I chose Jack Dalla to get the job done against Belal, remember the eyeball. And as fate had it, Jack Dalla Maddalena got the job done and became undisputed. And while I couldn't have been more happy for him, it came at a cost. Because with Jack Dalla now holding the welterweight belt, Islam Makhachev has no choice but to move up in pursuit of that champ status. But now under the UFC's new structure, that means vacating the lightweight title, creating a newfound power vacuum at 155 pounds. And now, here we are. The vacant throne is now up for grabs, and the two warriors fighting for it just so happen to be Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira, Charles du Bronx. And you see, when the UFC first announced this matchup, reality hit me like a Mack truck. And, I always knew that it was possible, I just didn't know how I'd feel once it was officially announced. And man, am I torn, because in order for someone to rise, someone else must fall. And I don't want to watch either of these guys lose, man, but if I'm being honest with y'all right now, with everything on the line, I will be siding with Ilia Topuria. I really do feel like this fight will define Ilia Topuria's superstardom. I mean, beating someone like a Charles Oliveira, Charles du Bronx, one of the most dangerous, beloved, and battle-tested lightweights in history, is probably the final steps before he becomes a true global superstar. But then again, Contrary to popular belief, I do not think this will be an easy fight in the slightest. Because, you see, Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx ain't finna be no stepping stone. I mean, he's a bona fide monster, and stylistically speaking, this is without a shadow of a doubt gonna be Ilia Topuria's toughest fight to date, honestly. But when looking at Ilia El Matador, he's the more precise and powerful boxer. I mean, he's got the tight combinations, a vicious left hook, and he counters with laser precision. I mean, he doesn't just throw at times, he kinda just calculates. Meanwhile, Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx does bring that chaos. I mean, he's got the better kicks, is the greatest submission practitioner of all time, and has got a deadly clinch game, especially when talking about those knees to the body. And on top of that, I do believe that his Muay Thai style is going to bring a super unpredictable as well as suffocating part of his game that might give El Matador a lot of problems. But where I believe Charles Oliveira thrives the most is probably his versatility. I mean, not only on the feet can he hurt you with the straight shots as well as his super sharp hooks, but on the ground, he's a constant submission threat at any given moment. Not to mention, when looking back at his latest tapes, his recent improvements in the grappling against Michael Chandler has only made him even more dangerous. I mean, he no longer just has to rely on, just pulling guard or jumping for submissions. And against someone like an Ilia El Matador, that's gonna matter immensely. Because Ilia Topuria has shown some strong takedown defense as well as grappling awareness, but we haven't necessarily seen him tested by someone with Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx's level of jiu-jitsu. And make no mistake, do Bronx will get him down at least once in this fight, and that's almost an inevitability. The question here is, what happens once he does? And this is where I believe that Ilia El Matador will shine. Because he doesn't freeze under pressure, and he's not going to take his foot off of the gas pedal. I mean, go watch Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx's fights with guys like Dustin the Diamond, Iron Michael, and Justin the Highlight Gaethje. When they heard him, they hesitated to follow him to the ground once Charles Oliveira pulled guard. And, that's where Charles recovers and thrives. But unlike them, Islam Makhachev didn't hesitate. He followed him to the ground and finished him. And I believe that Ilia Topuria will do the same. He won't be afraid to go to the ground with Charles Oliveira. And, I believe that he'll trust his own grappling, his composure, as well as his killer instinct. And now, combine that with his insane accuracy, as well as his nuclear KO ability, and I think Charles Oliveira gets caught, probably with a left hook in either the second or third rounds. And you see, it's sort of poetic in a way when you think about it, because Charles do Bronx got dropped by a left hook against Islam Makhachev. Ilia Topuria put out Max Blessed with the exact same shot. It really just goes to show that that left hook might be a prominent weapon going into this fight with Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx, who walks forward with his chin up in the clouds and doesn't move his head off at the center line. It's, really just a recipe for disaster, honestly. And yet, I can't ignore that Charles Oliveira might have a lot more ways to win this fight. I mean, he could submit Ilia El Matador. He could hurt him in the clinch, he could even wear him down with the body kicks and knees, but the risk of getting clipped against El Matador is just way too high. And I think Ilia Topuria's precision, his patience, as well as his nasty nuclear KO ability makes him too dangerous in this fight against Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx. So yeah, while it does break my heart to say this, I do believe that Ilia Topuria will knock out Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx, and become a new undisputed lightweight champion of the world. And yeah, while this fight will suck, it will be a necessary evil, because it's the final step in Ilia Topuria's rise to superstardom. And now that inbred rat's gone, hopefully for good, the lightweight throne is now for the taking. And UFC 317, on the biggest stage of the year, is where Ilia El Matador Topuria will take his crown. And sometimes the path of greatness demands a painful sacrifice. And this is one of those times. But that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know in the comment section below who do you guys have for UFC 317 International Fight Week's matchup between Ilia El Matador Topuria versus Charles Oliveira, Charles the Bronx. Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.